People who have escaped the purgatory of the 9 to 5, how do you do it? I asked my boss if I could work from 7 to 5. 4 days a week. And he said yes. So now I have a 3-day weekend every weekend. Not only that, but I work Sunday to Wednesday. So my Monday is hassle-free without everyone looking over my shoulder. I just come in and get my projects done without any interference. I'm also getting so many of the home improvement projects done that I wanted to get done now, and I'm enjoying life much more. Nice boss TBH. Smart boss too. Be CT to your employee. Expect them to be ACT back to you. Give them flexibility. They'll be productive. True enough. Some employees just suck and aren't happy with anything. That said, those people make you really appreciate the good ones. I work a job where there's no set hours and we can work whenever. I end up working 10 to 6 anyway because that's the sanest schedule, and having midday interruptions disrupts the flow of my thoughts and focus. It's nice to not have to be at my desk when work is light. And I'm glad I can start late or leave early when I have other things. And I prefer choosing to work these hours than being expected to. Because there isn't any expectation from others that I'll be tied to my desk at a certain point in the day. May I ask what you do? Computer science researcher. I became a stay-at-home dad. Also, I don't have kids. After a really bad depressive episode, I realized being regulated in an office from 8 to 5 was destroying my mental health. I hated working for the weekend, and I hated going in Monday knowing I would be stuck doing the same thing 5 days again. I applied to an airline on a whim 2 years ago. And becoming a flight attendant was the best thing that has ever happened to me. I love that every day is different. Every flight is different. I start and come home at different times and see so many different places. Right now with pandemic restricting flying is super unfortunate, to say the least. However, it also makes me realize how much I love this job and that I hope I can go back to doing it again once we are able to contain the spread safely again. I used to work nights and weekends for years. I am now thoroughly enjoying my 9 to 5. The 9 to 5 has such a bad rep. But for those who have shitty hours, or worse, no job at all, 9 to 5 is a lifesaver. I agree that the 9 to 5 has many pros. But I would be interested to see how different society would be if the norm was to work 4 10-hour days instead. I think it would greatly improve the environment. Less commuting. Improve family dynamics. More time to spend with family. Improve health. More time to exercise, cook meals at home. And improve the economy. More time to shop. Less money spent on child care. Less money spent on gas, car maintenance, transportation in general. And also improve productivity. Sounds awful. Let's just do 4 8-hour workdays instead for the same pay, of course. Tangentially related anecdote. I started freelance web development to try to escape the 9 to 5 and work on my own schedule. Turns out, most of the country runs on 9 to 5. And my clients. So now I just work 9 to 5 at home. Lol. I spent 3 years in a hospital working 6 to 6 with 28-hour on-call shifts every 3 days. I fall on my knees every day and thank God for my 9 to 5 current job. Yeah. I remember freezing my ass off spraying trees to ice them over for the winter. My hands and feet numb with cold. Starving because I'd been working hard all day. Living on minimum wage. And hoping one of the other guys from the place would drop me off closer to town so I wouldn't have to walk as far. Just daydreaming of how nice any job would be where they pay you and you get to be warm. Frig, I was a picker when I was young too. That's not even minimum wage. The only person on my crew who probably made close to minimum was a Vietnamese refugee with a hustle that should embarrass the average Westerner. But like you said, you can do a lot of jobs that will make you think you hit the jackpot once you get into the 9 to 5 purgatory. Spraying trees to ice them over? Can you elaborate a bit, please? Their yard was a landscaping yard. At the end of the season they had a lot of evergreens ready to be planted. Root BS bundled with burlap and wire. So you wait until temperatures are well below zero and you spray them with a hose and soak them down and keep going until they're iced up as well. I guess it helps stop them from wind burn and getting dehydrated. The guy who ran the place had been in the biz for a long time. So I assume he knew best. Inverse question. How does one acquire a 9-to-5? Local government. I just recently got a local government job and one of the best parts is the schedule. Shoot, I took a government job and nobody worked 9-to-5. Had a supervisor work 5-to-1. And most coworkers were somewhere between 6-to-2 and 8-to-4. Dang early birds. That's why I love my local government job. I can come between 6:30 and 9. I can leave between 2 and 7. And at the end of my month I have to have worked the approximate hours I should have. I have some kind of worked hours bank account. No clue if there's a word for it in English. In German it's Gleitzeitkonto. Diepel says flexitime account. That has to stay somewhere between 15h and plus 15h. And I can use these hours to have a day off. Sure, not working or working less would be great. But I'm glad I have a job this accommodating with my education. And it pays decent. I know what I'm about to say is really hard for 99% of people. So I consider myself lucky but finding a job I love. It sounds crazy. But I actually get really excited when I wake up on Monday morning. Congrats. And at the same time, I hate you. What do you do? Video game programmer. I'm way more productive in the mornings and I work a 7-to-3. Same number of hours. But nobody wants to meet or talk to you from 7 to 9 a.m. anyway and you get to dip out before 5 p.m. when deadlines are due. It's been nice. My company is flexible enough to allow that. I would never work those hours. But I have some coworkers that do. They like it for the same reasons and beat rush hour traffic in the afternoon. Same number of hours. But nobody wants to meet or talk to you from 7 to 9 a.m. anyway and you get to dip out before 5 p.m. when deadlines are due. This is literally exactly why staff at my law firm are not allowed to come in that early. Too many secretaries, paralegals were coming in between 6:30 to 7:00 a.m. when the office does not open until 9:00 a.m. Knowing that this would give them multiple hours each day when they could be on the clock but not taking instructions from whatever attorney they worked for. Yeah, I mean in your situation that makes sense. I had a job where I also chose to work 7-to-3 and I loved that I missed traffic and my job wasn't reliant on other people. Like a paralegal to a lawyer. In fact, a lot of my clients were East Coast and I am West Coast, so getting to work early meant I was also getting more work hours in with people in different time zones. Just saying, the 7-to-3 does work for a lot of people. But not all. No schedule works for all people. Corona. Indeed. Laid off from COVID-19. Now I'm making more in unemployment than I did while working. I know this won't last. CARES Act only covers the additional $600 until July 31st. I consider myself really lucky because I know there are a ton of people out there suffering. I'm using most of the money to build up my savings. Which one? Went back to college. This has been a temporary fix, but it's at least given me a break from it. Finding a job where you work gigs rather than regularly also has helped. I've done all kinds of stuff from photography to childcare. I agree cutting expenses helps a lot too. My car is 20 years old. I live in a small apartment. I could afford more, but I'd rather work less. Living on less changed everything for me. My happiness is worth way more than the salary cut I took to save my sanity. With you there, time and adventure greater than money and fancy things. Pure FG luck. I was a couch BM that literally stumbled into being a political consultant for 4 years. Left that and used what I learned to become a business consultant. How the hell does one stumble into being a political consultant? Maybe he was working the gun counter in your local Oklahoma Walmart. That's unfortunately a decent guess. I dropped out of that lifestyle. I was focused on getting a 9-to-5 job for reasons, and once I was there I hated it. Worked my ass off in school and had a job at the World Trade Center with an awesome view of Manhattan. A lot of people would feel inspired or accomplished. But the only thing I felt was disdain. I didn't like who I was and I didn't like who I worked with. Really disliked my work. I dropped that lifestyle and became a mover. I work with a bunch of talented musicians and make ends meet. I like my life a lot more now. What field did you used to work in? Op. The only time I was in one World Trade was a contract job in a software compare, and the view alone made me insanely jealous. They paid me ST and of course, it was contract. But I think being fooled by prestige might keep me someplace a long time. Unless my coworkers insulted me or devalued my work openly. Which I can believe. I worked in advertising. I don't believe all advertising is bad. But about 90 to 95% is. It's a field that there is no exact method or formula that works, so everyone is saving face and acting like they are more significant than they are. A lot of people where I used to work used mental gymnastics to make them feel like they were doing a difference for altruistic reasons or because they can justify the means. I'm doing X now because in the future I can do Y. Side note, advertising, especially large agencies, are dying. I think will be good for people. But people in agencies are extremely cutthroat and, like I mentioned before, resulted in being more haughty about what they do due to insecurity. During my time there, I definitely felt that my company pressured me to take less money because of the prestige of working at the building along with the view, which honesty is incredible. It's an experience I'm happy to have. But I would not like to experience it again. I work at a moving company. It's not a moving company that's pictured on TV or movies. I work with some of the most interesting and educated people I know. Musicians who have toured all over the world and opened for some very famous bands, and I work with people who have gone to Ivy League schools, became disenfranchised and now focus on their art. Along with people who haven't had a past that's been as kind to them as many others. I love 9 to 5. Compared to the weird shifts I had at a call center where I might start at 10:30 a.m. some days, 2 p.m. others, etc. Yeah, the 9th to the 5th of May seem like purgatory. But I've had plenty of jobs where the schedule was total HL. I'm dying for a 9 to 5. I got myself a new job that's now 6 to 6:30. Only now I work, on average, 3 days a week and have long weekends every week. Wish I only worked an hour and a half each week. My mistake. 6 p.m. 6:30 a.m. Oh, the night shift. I currently work 2 days a week, 16 hours days. Hospital. And I can never go back to 9 to 5. Only negative aspect. Those days are Saturday to Sunday, but whatever, I only work 8 days a month. I'll take it. Hi. I'm a nursing student. Do you get paid for full time? Or would you have to work another shift for that? No. It's considered full time at 32 hours a week. I do have the option of picking up the extra 8 hours. I rarely do unless I'm needed. Can you explain to a layperson why 16 to 24-hour shifts are so common in medicine? It feels like a recipe for mistakes and poor bedside manner due to exhaustion. On the weekends, I wrote articles and gave them away for free. Then some videos. And made some forums. I reduced my expenses. Then the videos started to send me money. And I monetized the articles. And then one day, my piddly income was bigger than my expenses. I was able to break away. And I did some Kickstarters. Made some movie-like things. Wrote a book. Now I own a couple hundred acres and support a half-dozen people. I have been free of the 9 to 5 for about 15 years. And it all started with giving stuff away for free. What kind of articles were you writing? What's your website? Congrats. My first article was before the internet became popular. I made a handout for a class one was teaching. For free. To about a dozen people in 1994. In 1995 the internet took off and I posted my article. It was the only one of its kind for many years. So the search engines loved it. The article advised people how to have a better lawn with less work and zero toxins. Link. I think I cut deeply into the profits of weed and feed companies for many years. Later I made forums at javaranch.com and then permise.com. My big passion was about gardening. And that grew into permaculture. A few months ago somebody wanted a list of everything. So I made this. Link. This is the most in-depth article I've ever read on lawn care. I've learned so much in 5 minutes. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.